Hello, everybody. I am going to attempt taking this final assessment. I haven't attempted one yet. I am doing this just to see what subjects I need more help in, what sections. Um, all right, here we go. CompTIA A Core 1 final assessment. 88 questions. I have an hour and 30 minutes. I have not taken this before. This is my first time. Alrighty, here we go. Assessment overview and instructions. This is a full length practice test with questions and performance based questions. It has the same domain weightings as the CompTIA exam. You will have 1 hour and 30 minutes to complete the practice test. You can pause this assessment if needed, but you should treat it as an actual time test and complete it in one sitting. Practice test questions will be randomized for each attempt. When you have finished, you can view the correct answers to each question and link back to the relevant learning modules if you need to review the content. Please note that the questions are authored and designed to replace the style of the CompTIA certification exam without directly copying questions from the actual exam. Completing this practice does not count in any way toward achieving CompTIA certification. Your success on the exam depends on the many factors beyond just this resource. Okay. Here we go. Wait, let me see if I can get a camera going in here. Just to show you that it is me sitting here, not anybody else. Let me see. All right. Clear, sizing, rotation, capture format, deactivates when not visible, report webcam issue, blur. Blur. I guess this does not have any backgrounds. I'm trying to find a background real fast. Wallpaper. Okay, no, this is taking too long. I'll try to figure that out later. This is good for now. I have a little hair sticking up in the back. Okay, here we go. Start assessment. Which of the following solutions can address occasionally overheating in a system positioned safely away from other objects by promoting airflow to cool down the internal components? Okay, which of the following solutions can address occasional overheating in a system positioned safely away from other objects by promoting airflow to cool down the internal components? Add more RAM. RAM does not produce airflow. Check the power supply. I really don't think that it's the power supply. And use blanking plates. And I think blanking plates doesn't promote airflow just helps air from not escaping. So select all that apply. Oh, okay. Wow, this is a tricky one, but it could be D. If it was a single choice question, I would say C alone, but D could help prevent any air restrictions. So I'm gonna go with C and D. Again, I'm not no master. I've never been certified in this. I haven't taken my certification test at all. So this is just going off of basically like if we were we are like in this situation. We don't know what's coming. A computer technician replaces the power supply in a desktop system. To do this, the technician needs to know the output of the current power supply unit, the PSU. What is the PSU output capability measured as? Voltage, power, wattage rating, or efficiency? I would say the wattage rating. Because voltage, um, the things on your board vary from voltage. So I don't think it would be voltage because then it would say like 3.4 volts here and then 2.3 volts there. I don't think it would say that. Power, that's too ambiguous. I would think it would be wattage rating, like say a 600 watt power supply or an 800 watt power supply. Sounds more fair. The data scientist needs to run complex algorithms and machine learning programs that require a significant amount of computing power. The scientist tells the company's IT pro that their current computer is too slow and their data is backed up daily. What RAID configuration would be the best for the data scientist where they don't need redundancy? So, a data scientist needs to run complex algorithms and machine learning programs that require a significant amount of computing power. Okay. The scientist tells the IT pro that their current computer is too slow. It's slow. And their data is backed up daily. So, it's backed up daily. It does not matter. They just want a faster computer. That's what it seems. So, a faster computer would, in my head, is RAID 0. See, I could be wrong. Again, these are not all 100% correct answers that I'm clicking today. I'm going about it as if I'm going to do the test. I'm not using my notes, I'm not using my book. This is all from the top of my head. So I really could be wrong. I probably am wrong in a lot of these answers, but I'm trying to see where I am at right now so I can so I know where to go back to and where to study. So I know my weak points pretty much. So, if he wants a faster computer, I think I remember RAID 0 being the fastest. And RAID 10 is also fast because it's a mixture of RAID 1 and RAID 0. But they don't need redundancy. So, RAID 1 applies some amount of redundancy and they don't need it. They just want speed. I'm thinking it's RAID 0. It could be RAID 10, but to me it doesn't seem like that here. They want a faster computer. It's already backed up daily, so they should need redundancy. See, they don't need redundancy. All right, I'm sticking with A. A user's computer powers on, but it does not pass the power on self test, and there is no display on the monitor. The IT specialist starts with the post issue. Which of the following troubleshooting tests are appropriate in this situation? Check power management with ACPI. Check for faulty devices by removing one device at a time to see if it fixes the problem. Check for faulty devices by removing all non-essential devices and adding them back one at a time. Check for a faulty CPU. So the IT specialist starts with the post issue. Which of the following troubleshooting tests are appropriate in this situation? I would say C, removing everything, and it could be a faulty CPU. Um, I don't think you do it one at a time. You remove them all and then start putting them back. But again, I don't know. So I'm saying C and D. A technician that is new to 3D printers needs to call service for a malfunctioning printer. The technician explains that the problem is what looks to be a printhead. Which component does the tech report as a problem? A. The extruder. B. Motion control. C. Build plate. Or D. The bed. Mm, I would think the extruder. Because it's not what's being built and it's not the whole bed. And I don't think it would be the motion control. Because that's controlling the arm. It could be motion control. But I would say extruder. A technician needs to repair a laptop. Symptoms are that some keyboard characters are not typing properly and the fingerprint reader is not recognized. What type of component is the technician inspecting? The PCIe card, ribbon cables, M.2 slot, or the SODIMM slot? I would think ribbon cables. It's not producing the right data to the motherboard from the device itself. M.2 is more with memory, SODIMM has to do with RAM. PCIe would be like graphics and audio card and things like that, and usually that's seen inside of a desktop computer, and he has a laptop. So I would think ribbon cables, which are most likely seen in laptops. A user complains about the quality of display on a laptop. The user mentions that the laptop has been in use since the company started many years ago. IT determines that the display uses a very early thin film transistor (TFT) technology and will replace the laptop. Which TFT technology does the display use? Vertical alignment, organic LED, in-plane switching, or twisted pneumatic? Hmm. Okay, vertical alignment. This is one I have problems with. I really am not gonna lie. I need to go back and look at displays. Okay, I know for a fact it is not organic LED because these are the newer type models. All right, this is what's coming out in devices nowadays, and they're using thin film transistors. And I think, off the top of my head, because I'm not using any notes, anything, I'm trying to go about it as if it was the test. Twisted pneumatic was an older. It's between twisted pneumatic and vertical alignment. But I do not think it's vertical alignment. I really don't, and I could be wrong. I don't. I need help with the displays, so I would just go with twisted pneumatic. Twisted pneumatic. But then again, from class, see, I'm overthinking. But then again, from class, Carlos was telling us that twisted pneumatic means it's faster, but it's harder to see from the side, right? But in-plane switching, I am still going with twisted pneumatic. A remote facility cannot utilize a wired connection for a short period. When relying on a wireless solution, the company uses a technology that must be provisioned with a motor so it can periodically realign with the array. Which internet access technology is in use? Geostationary orbital satellite internet access. That sounds pretty that's on the money. A wireless internet service provider. I do not think so. Low Earth orbital satellite internet access. I think that one's it, really, because it has to change the position on where it's at. If it was higher in orbit, it could just stay locked on in one spot because it's so far out. You can see it in any direction. The low orbital satellite internet access, you would really have to aim at where it was at. The global system for mobile communications. I don't think that's it. So we'll go with C. Oh, I'll go with C. A technician needs to troubleshoot problems. When problem solving, what are three items that define a problem? The cause, the symptom, and I would think fault and cause would be around the same thing. I don't think we're trying to see whose fault it was or what was the fault. I would go with consequence. To see again, this is one more thing, and I'm writing down at the same time what I'm having problems with. So right now, I see so far I have problems with the display. Here, I need to write it in my notepad. So far, I've had problems with display. See display. And I've also had problems with, what is this one? Problem solving. They wanted three items to define the problem. Okay, so problem solving. Those are the two that I really had problems with so far. So I clicked these three. An organization looks to harden email services. The system's administrator uses every possible option to help prevent spam and other anomalies. During the final stages of configuration, the system's administrator creates a policy within the domain name system to handle authentication failures. Which record is being configured? The MX, the SPF, the DMARC, or the DKIM? This is another one. So, the system administrator uses every possible option to help prevent spam. And they want to harden the email services. During the final stages of configuration, the system creates a policy within the domain name system. Okay, so right here, DNS. I need to learn more about DNS. So, right here, DNS to handle authentication failures. So DNS authentication later. DNS auth. Alright. So 1 second. I'm trying to remember what these acronyms are. I am going with the DMARC. It just seems more like that's the answer. Alright, scenario. You work for a managed IT services company that has similar workstation setups across multiple client office spaces. During the normal course of business, you encounter a variety of monitor displays, projector audio issues that you must troubleshoot. As your company takes on more clients and the number of multi-monitor setups as projector installations increases, you've been building a reference sheet for how to quickly diagnose or at least begin troubleshooting for common issues with these devices. An image appears very dim. Okay, these are the answers, and this is where you put them. An image appears very dim, so you would calibrate, check to replace cabling, try to reactivate via touch, verify source of OSD menu, use automatic screensavers, adjust brightness and contrast. I would think brightness and contrast, because it doesn't say anywhere there for an inverter. Color glitches, purple or green horizontal lines. Maybe cabling. Okay, stuck or dead pixels. Image burn-in creating ghosted elements. Use automatic screensavers. To minimize cabling, audio and video can be sent over a single cable using HDMI or a display port. A flickering image could also be caused by the display's backlight or what other component starting to fail. Power supply. When working, a projector makes a pop sound. This may be indication of a burned out bulb. Okay, an engineer configures 6 disks in a workstation to be part of a redundancy array of independent disks, RAID volume, where 1/6 of the space on each disk will be used for parity. Which RAID type does the engineer implement? I believe that is a RAID 5 because it's not using striping. It's using for parity. So I would say A, Regis, level RAID 5. Which cloud characteristic handles changes in demand requirements in real time? Rapid elasticity, scalability, high availability, or metered utilization. These are all kind of good answers, but it's a rapid elasticity. It handles changes in demand requirements in real time. Because scalability is like you can do it, but rapid elasticity means that it does it on its own. A technician looks to wire an office for a medium-sized local area network. When considering the available standards and speeds, the technician decides to implement gigabit Ethernet. What specific standards does the technician use? 8,000 base T. Because these are usually like megabytes. 1,000 megabytes is 1 gigabyte, or 1,000 megabits is 1 gigabit. Yeah. So it's not 10 gigabit base. It's going. I think it's 1,000 base T. What service provides on-demand resources like server instances, file storage, databases, and applications over a network? Software-defined networking, cloud computing, local networks, local area network, or software as a service. And this one says what service provides on-demand resources. So I think software as a service does because cloud computing isn't this. It's a bunch of services, and this one's one service. So I'm going with D. A college would like to implement a secured print solution so that print jobs do not arrive at a printer until the printer is physically interacted with. This will help prevent students from potentially picking up faculty print jobs. Which two physical security solutions does the IT department consider to accomplish this? Select all that apply. You can put a print code and I guess badging too. So I would go with B and C, print code and badging. A critical system is set to use secure boot. What properties are characteristic of the secure boot process? Select all that apply. The firmware is configured with cryptographic keys. The operating system bootloader is digitally signed. The microprocessor is hard-coded with a unique key, and it can be managed through the operating system. I think secure boot happens through the BIOS, so I don't think D is it. The microprocessor is hard-coded with a unique key. I don't think it's B. And usually a select all is at least two. I would go with A and C. See, but this is something else that I have a little problem with. So I will write down here secure boot. Okay. A universal asynchronous receiver. Oh, there was another one too that I had problems with, right, as well, and it was. Oh, that was good. I think we're okay. A universal asynchronous receiver, which is a UART, universal asynchronous receiver transmitter port, was traditionally a physical serial port in a legacy system. In a modern mobile device, how can a UART be utilized? Through USB more than likely, but select all that apply. I think that we can do both USB and Ethernet. Since it is a hard cable, would probably need a converter of some sort. So I'm think C and D because they are just cables too, and these are wireless. And this is a traditional legacy serial port. Non-volatile storage devices hold data when the system is powered off. These devices are also referred to as a mass storage. What are three types of technologies that mass storage devices use? They use A, magnetic, D, solid state, and B, an optical drive, because you can save information to a disk, like a CD or a DVD, even a floppy disk. You know, you can save information using optical. So the only one that it wouldn't be would be RAM. And see how it says what are three types of technologies that use mass storage devices? Okay. A network administrator adds several network printers to a business network. Users can install the printers easily by browsing resources that are available for use. Which protocol enables this capability within a Windows server based network? So here another one. A network administrator adds several network printers to a business network. Okay, several network printers to a business network. Users can install the printers easily by browsing resources that are available for use. Which protocol enables this capability within a Windows server based network? So, right here, printer added device. So, added devices pretty much, because I'm not sure where this falls under, but you'd be able to access all the devices that are on your network to utilize. So I do not think it is a NAS because that is a network added storage. And LDAP is where I'm kind of heading to, but I am not 100% sure. Yeah, we'll go with LDAP because I am not sure of this. But which protocol enables? See, this would be protocols. Okay, so I changed this to protocols printer added device so I can try to find it later. What is a class of management software designed to apply security policies to use of mobile devices and apps in the enterprise? A. Internet Mail Access Protocol, an IMAP, or B. Enterprise Mobility Management, an EMM, or two-factor authentication, or D. Mobile device synchronization. What is a class of management software designed to apply security policies? two-factor authentication, because they would send you something to your phone, or that you would have some kind of code breaker on your phone, like I use the Google Authenticator app. Okay, an organization experiences an internet outage. As fiber is being used, an engineer checks to see if the optical signal is being properly converted to an electrical signal. The router is connected using an RJ45 copper wire patch cord. What does the engineer check? Man, these are some hard ones. I'm getting really stumped, so that just shows how much more studying I need to do, but we will do it. Here we go. If fiber is being used, the router is connected. What does the engineer check? The signal to see if the signal is being properly converted. So it's optical to optical conversion. Okay. Optical. ONT. Because I don't know it, I will take a yes. Over the last few weeks, you've purchased and received the various hardware components necessary to build a home gaming computer, including expansion cards for audio and video. You are now beginning the assembly of the system components. You need to identify the proper components and place them in the correct slots. The RJ45 NIC card would go to the PCIe slot. Wow. Because look, these are different. This long one with this piece right here is a 16. A sound card PCIe 4, PCIe 4, and I would say this is 8. And the wireless NIC card is regular PCIe. PCI. Which of the components are not integrated onto the motherboard? The GUI and the solid state drive. I do not think it's the graphic user interface is integrated into the motherboard. CPU socket, no. Yes, that is. The socket itself is Northbridge. Yeah, that is too. That's going from the RAM to the CPU. The CMOS, yeah. Firmware, yeah. Okay. There we go. Several users. And just to keep it safe, I'm gonna put this on there too. The different socket types. Here we are. The different PCIes. The different PCIs. Just to be safe. Several users of a shared printer complain that the printer is printing on both sides of a sheet of paper when it should only print on one side. What setting does the technician change? The duplex setting, I believe. Not orientation, not badging, quality. No, I would think it'd be the duplex settings. A system administrator looks to control HTTP requests from the client computers based on on time of day. What type of service does the administrator deploy when configuring clients on non-transparent in a non-transparent manner? They want to control HTTP requests from client computers. Based on the time of day. It is in between proxy server and load balancer, but I'm not thinking it's load balancer because they're not trying to distribute the load, it says anywhere. They just want to control the HTTP requests from client computers. So I would think it's B. A company plans on live streaming a company wide meeting once a month. Engineers prepare network equipment to allow traffic. Which protocol is normally used for such a task? A company plans on live streaming a company wide meeting once a month. So they prepare network equipment to allow the traffic. What protocol is being used? See, these are the only two protocols that could be used, but usually it's a UDP used for live streaming, because if they use TCP, it would take too long. Which current USB standard supports 2 times 10 gigabit speeds using a Type C connector? A Type C would be a 3 point. Yeah, see, times 10. It wouldn't be 3.1. You might want to use because it's 2 times. 2 times 2. This is a tricky one. See, so USBs. 3.2. I'll write that down to say that I need help with that. But I'm going to go with this because it's 2 times gigabyte speeds. 2 times. If there is not enough RAM, the memory space can be extended by using disk storage as a page file or swap space. This is combination. What is this combination of addressable memory called? It is called virtual RAM, a VRAM. It's not really there, you're pretending. A company considers moving its infrastructure to the cloud. Management emphasizes the need to handle changes in resource usual usage in real time. Which feature fulfills this need? Shared resources, high availability, rapid elasticity, or scalability. So management emphasizes the need to handle changes in resource. Which feature fulfills this need? So a company considers moving its infrastructure to the cloud. Management emphasizes the need to handle changes in resource usage in real time. Which feature fulfills this need? So rapid elasticity, it happens by itself, and scalability means that it can expand, but it wants to handle changes in resources in real time. So I would think rapid elasticity. A technician is managing configuration settings in Windows for a LaserJet printer from the printer's properties dialog box. Among the following options, which is not commonly found in the properties dialog box? Sharing permissions, printing to a different port, print in color or black and white, setting default paper types. I would say printing to a different port. but sharing and permissions as well, which is not commonly found. Sharing and permissions. Hmm. I guess printing to a different port. Because sharing and permissions, everybody would want to find, be able, you would want to make that printer identifiable on the network. A user complains about a faulty network connection on a laptop. A tech traces the Ethernet cable in the office to a direct connection in a 16 port smart switch. While investigating the switch's activity, it becomes apparent that port flapping is occurring. What does the tech troubleshoot as a possible cause? Bad cabling, latency, faulty port, or interference? What can it be? It could be bad cabling or interference. Because I don't know if it's a faulty port, if it would be port flapping. A developer asked the IT department if virtualization would be possible to test software in a sandbox environment. The developer's workstation runs Windows 10. The central processing unit CPU has a virtualization technology enabled and has plenty of resources for virtual machines. Which Type 2 hypervisor does the IT staff install? Parallels Workstation, VMware Workstation, or VMware ESXi, or Microsoft Hyper-V? It's Windows. Hmm. And hmm. Okay. Another one. Just to be safe, we will do virtual machines. Virtual machines. So far we have display, problem solving, DNS, authentication, secure boots, protocols for printers and added devices, optical conversions, PCI, USB 3.2, and virtual machines. Because I'm not sure about this, but I'm gonna go with Microsoft Hyper-V because it could be a VMware, but there's two, and that's making it kind of confusing for you to actually memorize what workstation and ESXi is. So I'm gonna go with the simplest one, Microsoft Hyper-V, because it is a Windows. A technician plans an upgrade for several company laptops with new internal storage devices. The requirement is that new devices interface with the PCI Express bus. What type of device does the technician use? Is it a U-SATA, M-SATA, a SATA, or an M.2? That the new a technician plans an upgrade for several company laptops with the new internal storage devices. So it would probably use M.2. Because that's what's usually seen in laptops nowadays is an M.2 or a SATA. A security team at a company discovers that malware is rapidly moving from one virtual machine to another in a live environment. What security issue is occurring? Escape, extension, intrusion, or sprawl? It is VM escaping. A printer technician works in a corporate office. Their office has multiple types of printers that require regular maintenance. Which type of printer maintenance includes replacing and properly disposing of a toner print cartridge? A laser printer maintenance, because laser printers use toner. The office laser printer starts printing pages that smudge easily. The IT specialist is proficient in the common printing defects of laser printers and knows what is causing the problem. What will the IT specialist do to fix the problem? Clean the blocked ink nozzle. It's not it's a laser printer, so it shouldn't have ink. Realign the transfer belt. Not sure. Replace the fuser. That is doable, yes. Adjust the platen gap. That could also be it. So, the office laser printer starts printing pages that smudge easily. So, I would think it's not transferring color correctly to the paper. I would say adjust the platen gap. A new computer experiences a malfunction with a touch input device. A support engineer disassembles the computer to diagnose the problem. While troubleshooting, which component would the technician find as a 9-pin header on the motherboard? Was it a power button? No. A USB port? No. A drive activity light or a 3 millimeter audio port? Hmm. And they're experiencing malfunction with a touch input device. Support engineer disassembles the computer to diagnose the problem while troubleshooting which component would the technician find as a 9-pin header on the motherboard. Would be a drive activity light, the power button, a USB port, or a 3.5 audio port. I would think a USB port because it is an input device. A user traveling on business reports that a company owned device suffered damage to the screen during a trip. A technician notices cracks on the screen and determines that the touch input is no longer recognized. Visual elements on the screen look fine. What component needs replacing? A digitizer. Converts analog input to digital. A user complains that a computer is too slow when opening numerous applications. A technician suggests purchasing a new computer that features CMP capabilities to handle the user's workload. Which statement describes a technician's suggestion? A single execution unit and set of registers for processing. A multi-socket motherboard for multiple GPUs. Multiple processing cores combined in the same package. Multiple parallel thread capabilities within a process. I would think multiple parallel thread capability within a process. So multiple processing cores combined in the same package. I would think the like hyper-threading. It just reminds me of hyper-threading. Okay. A user states that a smartphone does not hold a charge for as long as it did in the past, and it seems to charge slowly. The change was noticed over the last few months. What could be the cause? An aging battery. A technician troubleshoots a motherboard issue. What the tech discovers is chip creep with a serial ATA and SATA cable. Serial ATA connector. What is the cause? B or C. But if it was an electrostatic discharge, it might just burn it out. Oh well, we'll go B and C because it's to select all that apply. And I don't know if changing in temperature would be so much as cause a chip creep or capacitor swelling. And let's look over here, put over here chip creep because I'm not 100% sure what that means, and it's probably bad. A hardware technician replaces a central processing unit, the CPU, on an advanced micro device on an AMD motherboard. What must be applied when connecting the heatsink to the GPU? Thermal grease, a locking lever, a CPU socket, or a pin grid array, a PGA. No. So thermal grease must be applied. System administrators deploy a virtualization solution that separates host resources for each instance at the operating system level. Which solution is running? A type 1 or type 2 hypervisors. So, I really need to go back to hypervisors. But I think type 1 has to do with setting aside some of your components, and type 2 is more of a software. And it's at the operating system level. So I would go with the type 2. A support technician helps a user identify a problem with a newly installed application. The user states that the application was working the day before. What does the technician do next? A support technician helps a user identify. So the first step is identify, right? So first is identify. The next is establish a theory to determine the probable cause. Okay, so establish a theory of probable cause. There it is right there. A technician installs memory into a computer that supports a multi-channel configuration. A 4 gigabyte module is placed in bank A1 and a 16 gigabyte module is placed in B1. A diagnostic tool reports that 12 gigabytes is usable but not as multi-channel. What mode does the system use in making all of the memory available? A single channel, a flex, or dual channel, or an ECC? I think dual channel. A company places restrictions on the specific components and ports of mobile devices. This includes USB ports and cameras. Which specific enterprise management solution does the company deploy for this purpose? An MAM, MDM, EMM, or a sync? I think it would be mobile device management, MDM. Which troubleshooting While troubleshooting a user's computer that has no power, the technician eliminated these possible causes. Power supply cabling, wall socket connection issue. Therefore, which of the following could be the problem? Has no power. And it's not the power supply, it's not the cable, it's not the wall socket, and it's not a connection issue. So it has no power. I don't think a faulty CPU would come as no power. Corrupted BIOS would also not show. Maybe a faulty motherboard. An engineer plans a fiber cable implementation between two campus buildings about 50 meters apart. Due to the distance between the location, the engineer selects single mode fiber. Which specifications does the engineer need to consider with this decision? Which specifications does the engineer need to consider with this decision? So over here, I will write again. It's a fiber cable specs. Okay. So, if it's anything water, we would use like a water hose. If it's thinner, you get more pressure. If it's thicker, you get less pressure, right? But you would get a higher amount. So if you have a larger core, it would probably be a shorter distance. A smaller core would probably be a longer distance with a longer wavelength. So I would go with B. Small core, long distance, long wavelength. But that's just me taking an educated guess off of comparing it to water, which is it's not, it's light. So that's just me. Alrighty, this is an HTML document. Okay. A medium sized company is looking to make an informed decision regarding data storage and is determining the features and benefits of each type. The options of HDD and SSD carry their own advantages and disadvantages. As an IT technician, your task is to give the management an overview of the storage and memory concepts so that they can make an informed decision as to which investment would be the most beneficial for the company. So, storage device. The least volatile, slowest to the most volatile, and the fastest. So the fastest would be CPU cache. The next would be RAM. The last would be 2.5, no, the USB, and then the MSATA. Yes, yes, yes. No, it doesn't require power to store the data, maybe transfer the data. So, yeah. A technician plugs a USB device into a computer and notices that the speeds are slightly less than expected. The USB port and device are USB 3.x devices, and the achieved speed is roughly 9 gigabits per second. What USB standard is in use? .2 Gen 2 times 2x1. But then again, I said here too that I need help with my USB 3.2s. So this one I'm not going to go too far in because I know that I need help with them. A manufacturing firm uses an older Windows NT computer to operate a unique piece of machinery. The support such as a legacy system on the network. What common port settings are enabled for communications? 3389 remote desktop, a 137 139 net BIOS, a 161 SNMP, or a 389 LDAP. So, Emmanuel uses an old Windows NT computer to operate a unique piece of machinery. A net BIOS, and just I would think a net BIOS. A large technical firm deploys a cloud service. The service offers cloud storage along with web development capabilities. What deployment model does the firm utilize when a multi-tiered subscription option is available to general consumers? I would think public because it's available to general consumers. A technician troubleshoots wired connectivity issues with the device. What should the technician check first to resolve a no or intimate connectivity issue? So, a technician troubleshoots wired connectivity. What should the technician check first to resolve a no or intermittent connectivity issue? Check the wall port. A department with an organization would like to share a specific set of files with external users from a Windows 10 system. The users would also need to save files as well. Which solution does the systems administrator configure without needing to directly require Windows permissions? An SMB, NetBIOS, HTTP, or FTPS? File transfer protocol secured. A company realizes that it needs to implement a management solution for mobile phones. Which solution is specific to the restriction of apps installed from a device's app store? An engineer troubleshooting a network connection identifies a port flapping problem. What should the engineer investigate as the probable cause? A printer technician receives a complaint from multiple users sharing a laser printer that the pages they are printing are faded or faint. Upon troubleshooting, the technician ruled out user and server settings. What hardware component of the laser printer needs replacing to fix this error? The fuser. I'm not sure you ever need to change the drum unless it has scratches, so I would think the fuser, and it doesn't have a print head, and toner cartridges really don't ever need to be changed. Well, hardly ever need to be changed. And what hardware component? I don't know. It's faint and faded. It's not missing anything. It's not showing other pictures. It's just faint. Okay. A hard disk drive in a system experiences extended read and write times. What is likely the cause? Select all that apply. Bad sectors, disk thrashing, and data corruption. A small call center office asks their IT service provider to implement a voice over IP system for them. After discussing the office's needs, the technician learns that their ability to make and receive phone calls is critical considering this information. Which of the following should a technician recommend? Enable UPnP. So over here, I want to put that last one, which had to do with hard disks. And then now, yeah, hard disks. So hard disk drives. And this one, voice over IP, right? Okay. So enable UPnP. What specific issue may the help desk technician suspect is causing the problem of the mouse cursor moving on its own as reported by the user, and that is related to adjusting the device setting to fit a specific user device or environment? After identifying the problem with the user's computer and collecting detailed information from the user about the problem, a technician believes they know how the cause. However, when testing the theory, the technician discovers they were wrong and may not be capable of resolving the issue. What are the next troubleshooting steps for the technician? So they identified what was wrong, identify, and then establish a theory to determine the probable cause. So they tested the theory, and which is part three. They test the theory, and they were wrong. Okay, so what are the next steps? Develop a new theory, right? And there's two. And so backup the computer should have been part of step one. Ask colleagues if any of the changes are made to the network. So that should also be part of identify the problem. So I think it would be C, and if not, escalate, which would be B. Which type of virtualization refers to any solution designed to run on ordinary desktops or workstations? Which type of virtualization refers to any solution designed to run on ordinary desktop solutions? A client-side virtualization or application virtualization? No. Container, server-side, I think client-side. An engineer investigates a new unified threat management appliance to replace an aging firewall. Which website browsing feature can the engineer expect the appliance to have? Content filtering, data loss prevention, workflow optimization, or load balancing? It, mm, so it's a new firewall, right? Content filtering, data loss prevention. Hmm. I don't know if firewalls have load balancers. I don't work in that field, so I'll go with data loss prevention. And with content filtering. And it's website browsing feature. Okay, so content filtering. The projector in the conference room is experiencing intermittent shutdowns. The technician begins troubleshooting by checking the connector cables. What are the troubleshooting steps for the technician? Check the vents are free from dust. Check the bulb is not burned out. And check the fan is working properly. A college campus is spread out throughout the entire city. There is a plan to upgrade the connectivity to all buildings for increased speed. What type do engineers upgrade? A man. A computer has 3 disk drives. Which of the following RAID configurations would commonly be utilized with such a setup? A RAID 5. An engineer plans a new wireless infrastructure rollout. The requirement is for access points that use a 48 volt of power and 13 watts. Which specific standard does the engineer implement? Oh wow. Access points. Okay. So access point standards. Access point standards. That I am for sure not gonna get. I have not brushed up on that at all. But an 802.3 AT. Gotta guess. A user's monitor displays a distortedly large image. Distortedly large image. To fix the resolution problem, that IT specialist performs with software troubleshooting steps. The OSD to check the monitor settings, check the configuration of the video card, update the video card driver, check the monitor is powered on. An engineer configures a workstation for development testing by using virtualization. The engineer chooses to use a Type 1 hypervisor. Which statements describe the environment? The hypervisor is bare metal. The hypervisor installed within the hypervisor is host-based. The hypervisor is installed on and manages hardware directly. How many binary digits are found within the media access control, which is the MAC address? 16? 16-bit or 32-bit? So, MAC address. Here we go. Another one. I need to familiarize myself with MAC address. Right? Okay. I'm going to go with 16 just because it sounds better, but it could be 12. A technician follows a best practice methodology when troubleshooting a problematic computer system. Which of the following represents a consequence of having a problematic computer? The printer is not working properly. No. The internet connection is slow. Could not be. The computer is running low on memory. A company implements a new wireless infrastructure. During the installation, an engineer adjusts the signal of all antennas for optimal performance. Which setting does the engineer use to measure the dBi? Antenna gain. Okay, you're an IT specialist for a construction company called the Company 123 ABC. For your first task of the day is to help onboard new hire and provide a new Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G cell phone. The new employee is a building architect and would need a company cell phone to check the email, make phone calls, and other employees check upcoming events, save documents and their files, gain access and hotspot capabilities, connect the company, the laptop to the internet while on the go. However, documentation will be strictly handled and maintained on Office 365. In addition, the architect should be able to transfer photos from the phone to the laptop wirelessly if needed. You have just finished creating a Google Workspace account for the new employee. Similar to the employee's personal email information, you are ready to set up a new company cell phone for the architect. The architect should only use the company cell phone for the company work and must adhere to the strict security policies for the IT practices. Email addresses in lowercase. The company enterprise application should always be able to accurately locate the company's cell phone for business and security purposes. As the IT specialist, you will use only applicable settings and the latest security best practices when completing the new employee cell phone registration for Wi-Fi hotspots. Okay, any personal information, complete the registration. The name is j.joe, jdoe at icloud.com. Select account to add. In iCloud, you enter the email address jdoe at icloud.com. jdoe at iCloud. Using MFA authentication to register the company's cell phone, which options will the user receive to complete the setup? An email and a text message. Okay. Synchronization options. They would need to sync the iCloud. Or they need to sync Uh, you have just finished creating a Google Workspace account for the new employee, similar to the employee's personal email information. You are ready to set up a new company cell phone for the architecture you use. Especially use settings. So the account they want, select account to add. Google, I think, right? Because it says right here you finished creating a Google Workspace account for the new employee, similar to the employee's personal email information. So, Google at gmail.com. Because it was Gdo at iCloud, so I set him up an Google Gmail. Synchronization options, you want OneDrive, Gmail, Drive, Docs. Alright. Location mode, high accuracy. Select the appropriate connectivity settings. Select appropriate connectivity settings so the company laptop can connect to the cell phone. You don't want anything connecting to the USB. Mobile Wi-Fi hotspot, yeah. Bluetooth tethering disabled. So security, you want the WPA2. Enterprise password. This is a very hard one, but I am gonna leave it like this because we are kind of running out of time. We only have 15 minutes. So I'm gonna run through all these as fast as I can. A support firm installs and configures a network to co-access organizations. This includes implementing security mechanisms for local and remote computers to authenticate with an internal server system. A switch is put in place on the edge of the network to protect the server and protect against unauthorized traffic. What role does the switch play in implementation? Network access server. A NAS. So, God, I missed that second one because I thought NAS was a network added storage, but it's really a network access server. So those acronyms are very similar. NAS for network added storage and NAS for network access server. Wow. When troubleshooting internet connectivity issues on a wired network, the first step is to make sure the patch cables are working and physically connected to the network ports. If that is not the problem, what is the next troubleshooting step? It's either A or D. I'm going with A. I don't have time really. A printer's technician troubleshoots on a laser printer and determines that the exposing stage of the print job is an issue with print jobs printing correctly. What does the technician suppose is happening? A user contacts a printer technician to report that every print job sent to a laser printer has lines of toner in the same location on every page that is printed. What does the technician just made? Cleaning the drum. An employee at an organization requests a laptop upgrade. The request is for a laptop that is extremely lightweight. There is also a requirement for the fastest speeds possible in order to demo the company's software to potential clients. What are these requirements? A flippin' M.2. A PC Tech plugs a times 4 PCIe adapter card into a X8 socket. What speed would the card be capable of running? Select all that apply. It would be running 4. A user tries to connect a second monitor to a computer. The computer has an available digital visual interface, a DVI connector that outputs a digital signal to a monitor that has a video graphics array, VGA connector. Technician recommends VGA to which type of cable? A DVI. When upgrading the RAM on multiple standardized laptops, what is the most important factor to consider to ensure compatibility with existing hardware? The DDR version. An organization conducts a weekly video conference from its home office and its field locations. Recently, employees at the field locations have been complaining of poor audio and video quality. Which protocol does an engineer monitor for performance issues? A laptop technician in a large corporation needs to upgrade the hard drives on an employee laptop. Currently, the laptops have standard 5,400 RPM, 500 gigabyte magnetic drives. The technician needs to know what physical drive size to order. What is a normal size for a laptop magnetic drive? It is 3.5. Huh. I could I could be wrong. I really think it's a 3.5, but this 2.5 is looking good. We'll go with the 2.5. I am second guessing myself because I've said 3.5 to customers before. But let's do it. Engineers need to share data between the team's laptop devices that are located in the same office space. The speed needs to be at least 50 megabits per second. Which technology do the engineers use? Bluetooth is not really fast at all. CDMA, that's like wireless, that's like cell phones. NFC, no, because you need to be close. But they're in the same office space, but no, that's 50 megabits per second. I would say Wi Fi. What is the modern Android based smartphone and tablet connector for wired peripherals and charging? It is a Type C. A technician builds a spare computer with an older motherboard and purchases a new modular power supply. What type of motherboard connector would the power supply most likely provide? A 20 plus 4 pin, because 20 is the old legacy and then it adds 4 more pins. A shared printer handles a lot of print jobs for a medium sized company. As of late, all users are complaining about the print jobs having a speckled output. What does a printer maintenance technician find to be the problem? It doesn't say what kind of printer it is. It has a speckled output. So by these answers, it's a laser printer. Maybe the charge roller is dirty. It could be, and a fuser needs replacing. I'm not sure about that. I think the fuser is what takes off the charge. So the charge roller is dirty. We'll go with that one. A systems administrator is wanting to process in which the TCP/IP protocol is used to query and update an X500 directory, which can be used to accomplish this task. Okay, we had talked about this too. Pop 3 is going and is just receiving it, and IMAP is able. You're able to go in there and update things. So I would go with IMAP. Okay, let's check it out. Please be a 70. I'm just hoping for a 70. A 68. God bless it. You see, and it's these. It's these right here. This is the ones that I had problems on, and I know it. And there was at least a couple questions on each one of these. So these are my problem areas, and I should really get started on practicing these. So probably later today, I will go ahead and start practicing these, getting my notes, going back to the CompTIA courses, and I will probably do like a live stream showing me just studying the display, the different like because the twisted pneumatics and stuff like that, and all that, and then problem solving, and then the DNS authentication and secure boots, and I'm gonna go over those today because those are the areas that I felt I had the most problems on. Okay, see, right here I had put in PCI. See, the PC Tech plugs in a X4 PCI adapter card into the X socket. What would be capable of running? Select all that apply. Do you see this? It was select all that apply, and I only picked X4, right? So that right there is a problem. I should have read select all that apply, but I didn't. I had skipped that. I was trying to hurry up because I only had like 10 minutes left or something like that. And then the next one I had wrong was a technician installs memory into a computer that supports a multi-channel configuration. Okay, right here. What mode does the system use in making all of the memory available? It said the answer was B, flex. I put dual channel. So flex. In flex mode, memory that is of equal value within each channel can work as dual channel, while the remainder of the memory will work as a single channel mode. Okay, so it is flex. Remember that. Flex allows all the memory available, right? So the ones that match will be dual channel, and the ones that don't match will be used as a single channel mode. So flex. See if I can remember that. I'm not too sure if I will, but we'll see. Okay, done reviewing. All right, so this one, we'll go back to review this one. It was A and B, so it could be used as an X1 or X4. Each PCIe adapter card supports a specific number of lanes, so these are lanes. Ideally, the card should be plugged into a port that supports the same number. Often, the card will only work with the X1 if in a mismatched port. So if it's not in if it's in a mismatched port, it's going to use X1. Very slow. If insufficient slots are available, a card will fit in any port with an equal or greater number of lanes. The card may work at X4. So it's either X1 or X4 if you put an X4 inside of an X8 socket. All right, here's the other one I got wrong. A user complains that a computer is too slow. Okay, which statement describes the technician's suggestion? It was C. I put multi-parallel thread capability within a process. I kind of felt like I got this wrong, right? I knew I was going to get it wrong. It was even there. Um, where is it at? CMP. So I got to write this down. Here, I'll put it right here. I need to look at CMP capabilities of a CPU, right? CPU. All right, it says multi-core central processing unit. A CPU is multiple processors combined in one. This means that there are multiple execution units and registers. This refers to as a chip level multiprocessing. So CMP is chip level multiprocessing. Multiprocessing cores combined into the same one package, into the same package. So CMP, multiple processing cores combined in the same package. All right, let's check out the next one. Man, 68%. I really can't believe it. I was hoping for a 70. That is insane. That let me down pretty hard, but that lets me know how much harder I need to study before we take this test. Okay, a computer has 3 disk drives. Which of the following RAID configurations will commonly be utilized with such a setup? So they have 3 disk drives. See, look at that. Select all that apply. Select all that apply. That's one that has hurt me twice already. I thought, okay, I know the answer, but it's select all that apply. So it would have been RAID 0 as well. You could use a RAID 0 as well, where it just distributes all the data linearly so it can access all the data faster. And it also a RAID 5. It does parity, so it needs it. It's RAID 0 and RAID 5. I only put RAID 5. Sad me. Okay. Let's go back. And a critical system is set to use secure boot. This is another one that I felt I got wrong, but look, the difficulty is expert. So select all that apply, right? I put C and it was B. I put the microprocessor is hard coded with a unique key, which did I put that? Correct answer. Boom. And I answered it right. A, the firmware. So the correct answer is B. I did click C. That is another very sad one because I could have swore I was clicked B, but I didn't change it. So, what happens during secure boot? The firmware is configured with cryptographic keys and the operating system bootloader is digitally signed. So it digitally signs the bootloader. So it says you cannot boot unless you have the key. So secure boot, cryptographic keys on the firmware, and the operating bootloader is digitally signed. Man. All right. Here's another expert. A hard disk drive in a system experiences extended read and write times. What is likely the cause? I clicked B and that was right, and I also clicked A and D and those are wrong. Disk thrashing is wrong and data corruption is wrong. It was bad sectors and bad blocks. The reason I didn't click blocks is because I thought blocks and sectors were the same thing. So I had put here HDD. I need to go back and look up HDD, some more on that. Okay. What's the next one? A technician follows a best practice methodology on troubleshooting a problematic computer. I put the computer's running low on memory. That seems like a problematic computer. But if it's running low, it already says that. It shouldn't be much of a problem for you to just fix it. But if there's all of a sudden data missing, that is problematic. I got it wrong. Okay. here is, it seems like mostly the experts runs. I mean, look, I got one expert, one right. Shibby. All right. A technician troubleshoots a motherboard issue. What the tech discovers is a chip creep with the serial ATA. This is one I kind of knew I wasn't gonna get right. And look, it's select all that apply. How many of those have I missed already? This is like the third or fourth one that I've missed because I read past all that apply. I skipped past all that, select all that apply. See, because I got B, right? But I also picked C. So maybe I just didn't get it right. That wasn't the problem that I skipped past. So I just didn't get this one right. I put electrostatic discharge. It was either dirt or changing the room temperature. That seemed less logical to me, but it is right. I guess it produces some kind of humidity change in the connectors or something like that. And so it's A and B. Changing the temperature, dust and dust can cause chip creep within a SATA cable. Okay, so it was pretty much moisture, changing the temperature and dust. Okay, dirt and dust can cause chip creep. Okay, user's computer powers on but doesn't go past the post, right? So it was B, C, and D. I only picked C and D. These are the hardest ones. The select all that apply are the hardest ones. So these are the ones I'm going to go back and really try to study because they're super hard. Okay, so it was check for faulty devices by removing one device at a time to see if it fixes the problem, and check for faulty devices by removing all non-essential devices. So you'd want to remove devices one at a time to see if it fixes the problem, and remove all non-essential devices and then adding them back one at a time, which B and C kind of seem the same to me, honestly. Check for a faulty CPU. So I only missed check for faulty devices by removing one device at a time. But it's going to count it wrong even if you get just one wrong. That's the sad part. Okay, the user monitor displays a distortedly large image. I clicked A2 to check the OSD to check the monitor settings. That's wrong. You would only check the configurations of the video card and update the video card driver. Okay, so that you want to check the configurations to make sure the resolution isn't totally out of proportion, or update the video card driver. Okay. An engineer plans a new wireless infrastructure rollout. This is another one I knew I was going to get wrong. I clicked A and it is B, 802.AF. So this is something else I'm going to have to work on, and it is a different access point standards. And I want to look up 802.AF, 802.3AF, and see what exactly that is. Okay, and it was B. That supports 48 volts of power at 13 watts, an access point. Access point at 48 volts and 13 watts. That's going to be a difficult one to remember, but we have to try. Okay, and how many binary digits are found within the access, media access? 32, 12, 48, or 16? I picked 16, and my second guess was 12. It was 48 binary digits. So there's 48 binary digits in your MAC address. Wow. Okay. So we gotta remember 48 digits in the MAC. MAC 48. MAC 48. Okay. So the MAC address has 48. What can cause chip creep? Chip creep could be a change in the room temperature, and it could also be a change. It could be dirt and dust. Okay. Let's move on. A small call center office asked their IT service provider to implement a voice over IP. I kind of felt like I was going to get this wrong because, look, I put VoIP and everything. Okay, it was A. I put enable UPnP. It was configure the QoS on the router. QoS on the router. What is QoS? I'm thinking it's quality of service, but I'm not sure. QoS. Here we go. A technician troubleshoots wired connectivity issues with a device. What should the technician first resolve as intermittent? A patch cable. Okay, I would think a wall port, but it says check the patch cable. What should the technician check first to resolve a no or intermittent connectivity issue? Check the patch cable. Check that first if you have to resolve a no or intermittent connectivity issue. Check that first. You don't want to check your NIC or Wi-Fi or the wall port. You want to check your patch cable all the time. When troubleshooting connectivity on a wired network, the first thing the technician should check is the patch cable. It's the first thing they check is the patch cable when checking the connectivity. When troubleshooting the connectivity, ensure the RJ45 connectors are solidly connected to the cable and there are no obvious wear bends or breaks, and that it's properly connected to the device wall jack. Okay, faulty connection on a laptop. I clicked A, it was right, D was right, and I was missing C, a faulty port. So that can cause port flapping. Port flapping, apparent port flapping. Bad cabling can cause port flapping. If a cable has been pinched, twisted, or suffered any other type of physical damage, it may be faulty. A port on a network interface card or the switch itself may be faulty. So it's either bad cabling, interference, or a faulty port that causes port flapping. I think it's this one now. Alright, it was use a loopback tool to test for bad ports. I put update the NIC driver. I don't know, to me that seems easier. That would be my go-to, but I am not CompTIA certified. So, use a loopback tool to test for bad ports. So after eliminating patch cables as a probable cause, the next step is in troubleshooting internet connectivity is to test for bad ports using a loopback tool. This will verify the integrity of the network interface port by checking that it can receive a signal generated by itself. So a loopback, it checks the network interface port by checking if it can receive its own signal. So it was D. Use a loopback tool. So he checked the patch cables. They were good. So what's the next step? Use a loopback cable to check. A loopback tool to test for bad ports. So if it's not the patch cable, check the loopback tool to test for a bad port. Okay. Here we go. Difficult. Most of the ones I got wrong were expert or difficult. Okay. So, a developer asked the IT department if virtualization would be possible to test the software in a sandbox environment. The developer's workstation runs. Okay, so it was B. It's in the name. VMware Workstation. Microsoft Hyper-V is a Type 1 hypervisor, while Hyper-V is available on Windows 10 operating systems. The IT department installs a Type 2. So it could have been Hyper-V if it said Type 1, but it's saying a Type 2, right? Hyper-V is more of a bare bones. Type 2 is software operating systems. VMware Workstation would be the best choice of the available options. VMware Workstation is a Type 2 hypervisor that would be easily installed on the Windows 10 operating system and provide the features the developer requires. So it'll be VMware Workstation. I kind of knew I was going to get that wrong too because I put here virtual machines. Okay. Here we go. An engineer configures Type 1 hypervisor. So I got A right. The hypervisor is bare metal. And I got this one wrong. It's not host based. It's installed on and manages the hardware directly. Kind of a given, but I got it wrong. Trying to go too fast. So, a Type 1 hypervisor is bare metal and it manages It's installed on and manages the hardware directly. Okay. Type 1, bare metal, installed and manages the hardware directly. Yeah, that was done. Loopback tool, so we're on 6. Okay. Got this one wrong. 2, it is a container. The system administrators deploy a virtualization solution that separates host resources for each instance at the operating system level. It is a container. With a container, a resource separation occurs at the OS level. The OS defines isolated containers for each user instance to run in. Each container is allocated CPU and memory resources, but the process is run through the native OS kernel. So, if it's separated through the OS, it is a container. At the operating system level, if there is separation, it is a container. I got this one wrong. You said software as a service, and it was cloud computing. What service provides on demand resources like server instances, file storage, databases, or applications over a network? It is B, cloud computing. Cloud computing is a service that provides on demand resources such as server instances, file stores, and database. Well, software as a service is a model of provisioning software applications rather than purchasing a software license for a given number of seats. A business would access software hosted on a supplier's server on a pay as you go arrangement. Very kind of upset that I got this one wrong, okay? But it is cloud computing. It provides a service, and software as a service is part of cloud computing, but it is more specific. This is kind of asking for all of it. And this is just one thing, which is just pretty much a pay as you go subscription to a software like Microsoft Word, like 365. Okay. Here we go. The company realizes that it needs to implement a management solution for mobile phones. It is a MAM, an MAN. I put MDM. Mobile device management sets devices policies for identification features used, such as the camera and connectivity. MDM can also allow device resets and remote wipes. Mobile application management is part of an enterprise mobility management (EMM). Enterprise mobility management (EMM). All these acronyms are crazy. So MAM, MAM, multiple application management is part of the Enterprise Mobility Management (EMM) suite that sets policies for apps that can process corporate data and prevent data transfer to personal apps. So this is the security for a mobile device that a company gives you. It falls under EMM, and the MAM it controls the applications in there. So it says which solution restricts apps. So it'd be the MAM part of the EMM. That's difficult to remember, but we will try. Okay, here's the next one I got wrong. A systems administrator is wanting to use a process in which TCP/IP protocol is used to query and update an X500 directory. What can be used to accomplish this task? It is an LDAP, the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. So LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Lightweight Directory (LD). Lightweight Directory Access Protocol is a TCP/IP protocol used to query and update an X500 directory. And I picked freaking IMAP, a mail server. God bless it. It has nothing to do with the directory. So the Internet Message Access Protocol is useful for accessing email on multiple devices, as the protocol does not remove email from the server. Okay. So LDAP, Lightweight Directory Protocol. Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. And LDAP accesses directories from a lightweight computer. Alrighty. A universal asynchronous receiver. So a UART port is used as a legacy system. So it would be either Bluetooth or USB, would not be Ethernet. So it's a receiver transmitter. Oh, okay. So now it would be using Bluetooth and USB instead of whatever waves they would use before. So it's Bluetooth and USB are the two answers. A Bluetooth wireless radio creates a short-range personal area network to share data with a PC Connect and a printer, and even connect to automobiles. A Bluetooth connection does use a UART. So Bluetooth uses UART. A universal serial bus allows systems to easily use peripherals and more. A USB connection does use EUART. So USB and Bluetooth use UART. An asynchronous receiver transmitter. Universal. Okay, a user states that a smartphone does not hold a charge. It could either be an aging battery or the AC adapter itself. Select all that apply, guys. Read it. All that apply. I've missed so much. Okay, so C and D. It's an aging battery or an AC adapter. It's not a battery type and it's not swelling. If the battery type didn't match, it probably wouldn't turn on or wouldn't even connect because they have keying, I'm sure. And swelling, I don't think it was swelling. You'd probably want to just change your battery. But okay, now we're on 8. A user traveling on a business reports that a company-owned device suffered damage to the screen during a trip. I clicked A. It was A and B. Select all that apply. I think I missed so many. I could have probably passed. Honestly, I could have made at least a 70 if I would have just read select all that apply. So now I know that is my biggest enemy. That is my biggest enemy. Select all that apply. Read carefully, 100%. It is the digitizer and it could be the protective glass conflicting with the digitizer on its own. So the visual elements on the screen look fine. What components and need replacing? What needs to be replaced? The digitizer and the protective glass. It needs to be replaced. It's broken. Okay. Here we go. We were on what, 8, I believe. Yeah. A class of management software. Okay, I knew I was going to get this wrong too. It's EEM. I put two-factor authentication. Management software designed for security policies. I don't know why I picked 2FA. Honestly, because I didn't. It's the only one I knew. I knew it wouldn't be this one. And enterprise mobility management. Mm, honestly, I don't know why I didn't pick that one. It says enterprise right here, enterprise right here. Dumb me, but we learn, right? So it is a class of management software designed to apply security policies on mobile devices. So it is your EMM, as we learned earlier. The EMM is the manager itself, the suite, right? And the MAM is what controls the apps. Okay. So EMM is the enterprise management, mobile management. Okay. And here we go. I picked A and it was C. The imaging drum is not being conditioned by the primary charge roller. Okay. A printer technician troubleshoots a laser printer, and it determines that the exposing stage of the printer job is an issue and the print job prints incorrectly. What is the print IT suspect is happening? So the answer is the imaging drum is not being conditioned by the primary charge roller, the PCR, primary charge roller, PCR. In the exposing stage, as the laser receives the image information, it fires a short pulse of light for each dot in the raster to neutralize the charge that was applied by the PCR. In this stage, the imaging drum loses its charge when functioning properly. So the PCR shoots a beam of light that neutralizes the charge that is on the drum in the exposing stage. So this is what wipes the drum clean. So the imaging drum is not properly losing its charge because of the exposing stage. It's not properly losing its charge because the PCR is not doing its job. Okay, I click C and it was D. Toner is loose in the printer. I put the charge roller is dirty. I need to study more on laser printers. That's for sure. So let's put on here laser printers. Laser printing steps. Okay. So the toner is loose in the printer. Okay. Handles a lot of print jobs for a medium sized company. As of late, all the users are complaining about the printer jobs having a speckled output, right? It's speckled. Hmm. What does a printer maintenance technician find to be the problem? It has a speckled output. Like there's a bunch of specks. So it is the toner is loose in the printer. Sorry guys. Sorry if I'm letting you guys down. I know you guys thought I knew a lot, but I don't know enough. This is why we're getting certified. Okay, we're on 9 now. Ooh, I missed easy ones. But see, these I didn't get. I don't remember even. Oh, those are the. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I did get those. I did get those. Those are the hands on ones. Those are the ones where it's kind of like, we'll see. Okay, the answer was C. I picked B. A technician is managing configuration settings in Windows for LaserJet printer. I clicked that the printer to use a different port, but print in color or black and white. Among the following options, which is not commonly found in the properties dialog box. So in a laser printer, it's not going to tell you if you want to print in color or in black and white. It won't. So you will not find that in the dialog box anywhere. Print in color or in black and white because the laser printer probably just does it. The Whatever the document looks like, it's going to print that. In contrast to the properties dialog box, the preferences dialog sets the default printer job options such as the type and orientation of the paper or whether to print in color or black and white. In contrast to the properties dialog box, okay, okay. So the properties dialog box is where you would see this other stuff, but the preferences dialog box is what sets the colors and the orientation. So the preferences is like how do you want it to look on the paper, and the dialog box is the other things like the sharing and the port and the things like that, and the default paper type. Okay, so it is printing color in black and white. You will not see that in the properties dialog box, but you would see that in the preferences dialog box. So preferences is how do you prefer to see it, right? And the properties box is what are the properties of that printer? Kind of straightforward. I should have known, but we get things wrong. Ooh, I felt like I would have got that one right, but I didn't. It is replace the fuser. The IT specialist replaced the fuser because smudging print indicates the toner is not fusing to the paper. Oh, okay. Fusing is a lot more simple to understand now. When you fuse things together, they connect, right? They get stuck to each other. Fusing means to get stuck, like a fusion, like like when you put like have an apple and an orange and you smash them together, they're fused together now. You can't really force them. Or when you get a hot piece of metal, another hot piece of metal, and you stick them together, they're gonna fuse together once they cool down. There's fused, right? So you're fusing the ink toner to the paper. So if the fuser is gone, if the fuser is going bad, then it will not stick to the paper right. It will not stick to the paper correctly. So they noticed that the toner is smudging very easily, so that means you want to replace the fuser. Okay, now these are the ones that I got wrong. I got one right. I'm super proud of myself, honestly, because these are like really hard to me. I'm not sure why, but let's go over it. I got 8 out of 9 correct, guys, and it still picked it wrong. It still made it wrong. 8 out of 9. Okay. A flickering image could also be caused by the display's backlight or what other component? It is not power supply. Hmm. Okay. But good news, I got all the rest of them right. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. I feel like that's good. I want to see that. I don't care. Okay, now this next one. I got 7 out of 10. So I got all these right. I just missed this RJ45, wireless NIC, and sound card. So I need to go back. I wrote it right here to study on the different kind of PCIs, right? So all day tomorrow and today and tomorrow, even until we take the test, I'm going to be studying on these right here: display, problem solving, DNS authentication, secure boots, the CMP CPU, right? The protocol printers and added device, protocols for printers and added devices, the optical conversions, PCI, the USB 3.2 virtual machines, cheap creep. Well, we kind of already went through that right here, and hypervisors and fiber cable specs. This is another one that I really I felt I had problems on, but I didn't see that I got it wrong. So I guess I got it right. My assumptions were kind of correct, I'm guessing. So HDD, the VoIP, because I need to see what this QoS stands for, and access point standards 802.3.AF because it needed that 40 volts, 48 volts, and 13 watts, something like that. And MAC address, that one I because I put 16 bits and it really happens at 42 bits or 48 bits, something like that. That's a lot, 48 bits. So laser printing steps as well. So these are the steps that I am going to go over again that I really need to brush up on. Okay, done reviewing that one. And now for the last one. Let's see. 18 out of 26 correct. Okay. So it was a Google. It did say Google, and the address was JDoe, right? But it wasn't for Gmail. It was probably for the company, right? The company email. And for two-factor authentication, you would want to use email and the fingerprint. And for the synchronization options, you'd want to synchronize almost everything. You'd want to synchronize the calendar, the contacts, the drive, and the Gmail, and everything else is off. So the calendar, contacts, and the drive, and Gmail. Okay, so calendar, contacts, Drive, and Gmail. Four things to synchronize, right? Okay, location. It wants to be high accuracy because it wanted to know where the phone was at all times for security purposes. It needs to know where that phone is at. It does. Should you USB tether? No, not ever, because that's a security compromise right there. Once you connect something to the USB, it can wreak havoc on your PC. The mobile hotspots. It said it wanted to have access to the mobile hotspots so it could synchronize different files to the laptop and things. Bluetooth tethering. You'd want it to do Bluetooth. I clicked no, just because I didn't understand. But yes, Bluetooth tethering. It wanted that as well. Then security type. It didn't want WPA2, enterprise, and it didn't like that password. That was a difficult one, but we learned, right? Okay, that's it. I made a 68%. And honestly, it could have been probably like a 72, 75 at least. If I would have just read, select all that apply. That is a tough cookie to swallow. That I had missed so many questions based on that one thing. Select all that apply. It's not fair, not fun, but we learn. And this concludes my assessment practice test. So I will start going over the things I need to study, and I need to study these. All this right here. It seems like a lot, but really it's not too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 things I need to study. And I will be studying them. And let me know if you guys need help or do you want to study along with me. I can arrange some kind of live stream or something like that where we can communicate with each other. Or if you just want to follow along with me, or if you just don't want help at all, let me know so I don't have to do this. But I like to, so let me know. Thank you.